There's something fun yet terrifying about being a fan of a sports team that's just good enough to insert themselves into contending status, yet no matter what they try, just can't get over the hump. No matter how much you convince yourself that this is the year, come postseason, it's only a matter of time before the metaphorical gut punch sends you and your team spiraling into the offseason. The era comes to an end, the faces of the franchise either venture to another team or wander the desert of retirement, and the entire regime goes down in history as one of unfulfilled promise. In the early to mid 1980s, no two teams represented this enigma more than the New York Jets and Cleveland Browns. And yes, there was once a time where both of these teams were good at the same time, believe it or not. The two snake-bit franchises had established themselves among the class of the AFC, but for one reason or another, something got in their way on their trek through the playoffs. One day, the two teams would meet in January with a chance to make things right. This meeting between two strong but desperate teams guaranteed two things. It guaranteed that one of them would be able to hold out hope for at least another week, and it guaranteed that the other would crash and burn into absolute obscurity. If there's any one word that describes the 1986 Cleveland Browns, it's overcome. That summer, third-year defensive back Don Rogers passed away due to a cocaine overdose the night before his wedding, taking away a potential star and beloved figure in the locker room. They had not only the weight of tragedy on their shoulders heading into the season, but also the pressure of unfulfilled promise. The Browns have lost each of their last 6 playoff games dating all the way back to 1969, but none ring as more traumatic than the 1980 divisional round, where the Browns, as the number 1 seed, led by MVP quarterback Brian Sipe, just needed to knock through a 30-yard field goal to take out the Oakland Raiders. Instead, head coach Sam Rutigliano called for red right 88 and instructed Sipe to throw the ball away unless his target was wide open. Sipe instead
39 seconds to go. Wrong. Into the end zone. Was it intercepted? Oakland intercepted the ball.
Fast forward a few years, and both Sipe and Rutigliano are gone, and in 1986, it was tasked upon head coach Marty Schottenheimer and 23-year-old quarterback Bernie Kosar to lead the Browns to success. And despite the above, despite not having a 1,000-yard rusher or receiver, despite not having a single defender with 10 sacks, and despite half of their games being decided by one score, they did. Cleveland won 8 of their final 9 games to finish the season with a 12-4 record and the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. The Browns may lack flashy star power, but they still boast 5 Pro Bowlers, 4 of which are on defense. Kevin Mack and Brian Brennan lead the rushing and receiving attack respectively, while cornerbacks Frank Minifield and Hanford Dixon were both selected to their first Pro Bowl, with the latter being a first-team All-Pro. But if the Browns want to break through to their first ever Super Bowl appearance, they'll need Bernie Kosar to play his best football, and they'll need that in spades to take out an equally hungry opponent. The New York Jets had more of a bumpy ride to this point. They actually started the season 10-1, headlined by an incredible 51-45 overtime victory against Dan Marino's Dolphins. Ken O'Brien, the quarterback the Jets infamously chose over Marino, threw for 479 yards and 4 touchdowns in the win. The catch? Their defense was ravaged by injuries. The New York sack exchange of the 80s was reduced to a hospital ward by the end of the season. Mark Gastineau and Marty Lyons suffered knee and shoulder injuries respectively, but would at least be available to play for the playoffs. Future Hall of Famer Joe Klecko would not be so lucky, as his knee injury ended his season. Starting linebacker Lance Mell will be missing in action as well. With the Jets falling apart, they lost their last 5 games, with the defense giving up at least 45 points in 3 of them. However, a 10-6 record was still enough to get into the playoffs as a wild card, and they won their first-round matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs, thanks to backup quarterback Pat Ryan's 3 touchdowns and running back Freeman McNeil's 135 rushing yards. All-pro receiver Al Toon didn't hurt either. Head coach Joe Walton decided to give Pat Ryan the keys for their first playoff game due to being at full health and having more mobility, and it worked. For their divisional round matchup against Cleveland, Walton decided to roll with Ryan, even though he strained his groin during pregame warmups. This season is New York's 4th playoff appearance in the last 6 years, and unlike the Browns, they've at least experienced a glimmer of success. In the strike-shortened 1982, the Jets made the playoffs at 6-3 and pulled off 2 upset wins against the Bengals and Raiders to reach the AFC Championship before being shut out by the Dolphins. They wouldn't win another playoff game until last week's defeat of the Chiefs. The thought of a Jets-Browns playoff game might be jarring now, and for good reason. Both teams have mostly been in the doldrums since 2011, and their history outside of that still isn't exactly sparkling. It makes sense then that this is, to date, the only playoff game between the Jets and Browns in NFL history. We go to Cleveland, Ohio to decide who gets the right to play for the AFC Championship and who will remain in the mix to play in their first Super Bowl since the AFL-NFL merger 16 years ago. The Jets get the ball first, but go 3 and out when a third down pass to Al Toon bounces off his hands, and then a bad punt gives the Browns strong field position early. Kosar and the Browns offense go right to work, moving into Jets territory, but avoid disaster twice when Kevin Mack recovers a Kosar fumble, and when New York's Russell Carter drops what would have been a Kosar interception. On 4th and 8, the Browns send out former MVP kicker Mark Mosley to try a 46-yard field goal.
Free agent. He's 6 of 7 kicking field goals, but that's not going to be close. Way short.
A 46-yard field goal short? That's new. The next 2 possessions both end in 3 and outs, giving the ball back to the Jets inside their own 20. Their offense, having not yet picked up a first down, go right to work.
And they've been vocal since they sat down. They've been up much of the day. Here's a throw downfield to Al Toon. It breaks it across the 40. And he's out to the 46-yard line.
New York gets into Browns territory for the first time, where they decide to unleash some early trickery.
Run of sound here in Cleveland as the Jets set up now. First down and 10. McNeil.
Gonna throw.
Back to the quarterback. He can throw it again. That's
Walker.
the lateral. Man is open. Wesley Walker. And he's got the ball for a Jet touchdown. We look for innovation, and the Jets show a lot of it on a 42-yard scoring play, Mr. Trumpy.
The Browns' defense bites on Freeman McNeil, and they lose Wesley Walker deep downfield, and help from safety Ray Ellis comes too late, and the Jets strike first. Cleveland digs themselves a bigger hole when return man Gerald McNeil gets caught at his own 2-yard line. Kosar, with his back against the wall, wastes no time finding Ozzie Newsome for 2 big catches, the latter of which gets them near midfield. A couple plays later, the Browns move the ball to the Jets' 41-yard line when Kosar decides to go for it all.
Leading the favored Cleveland Browns 7-0. 2nd and 1, and Kosar's looking deep. Home run. Coverage is there. But the ball is almost caught anyway. It's an incomplete pass to the 14 by rookie Webster Slaughter.
Russell Carter probably could have intercepted this ball too, but instead he leaves it to the rookie Webster Slaughter to make an ass out of himself in a playoff game. 2 plays later, Kosar decides to go for it all again.
Kosar looking deep at Slaughter. Downfield, Fontenot's open. Herman Fontenot takes it in, and it's a 7-6 game.
A busted coverage leaves Herman Fontenot wide open, who cashes in to tie the game as the Browns complete what is probably the most significant 98-yard touchdown drive in the history of Cleveland football, am I right? The ball is kicked back off to the Jets, and NBC decides to remind everyone of how long the Browns have been waiting to advance in the postseason. On 3rd and 8, across their own 40, Pat Ryan looks Wesley Walker's way again.
3rd and 7, Pat Ryan. Catch by Wesley Walker, then he loses it at the 50 on a good hit by Hanford Dixon.
One of those games, or is this just the 80s? Or just the universe falling apart on itself at the sight of a Jets-Browns playoff game? Or a combination of the above? I don't know. The Jets punt the ball back where Gerald McNeil makes up for past transgressions with a solid return. Bernie Kosar, perhaps feeling himself a bit after that touchdown drive, remains aggressive, stringing together a pair of completions as we head into the second quarter. On 3rd and 6 at the New York 40, Kosar once again swings for the fences.
Fence. Got to keep him out of the roots. Long ball. Running out of his McNeil. He can't hold it at the 13-yard line. 5'7", 142-pound Gerald McNeil, a diving attempt, but comes up empty.
Okay, seriously, enough. I'm not as certain to how bad of a drop this was. NBC doesn't show the replay, and McNeil did have to dive for the ball, but still. The Browns could try a 57-yard field goal here, but their kicker was just short from 46, and this is the 80s, so forget it. Punt it is. Another drop and a sack kills New York's next drive, so no harm, no foul, I guess. The Jets punted back where Gerald McNeil's Jekyll and Hyde game continues with another strong return to get inside the Jet 40. This block from Scott Nicholas didn't hurt either. Nothing came of it though, as a holding penalty took the Browns backwards, and a Kozar third down pass was just short of his receiver Brian Brennan. A solid punt from Jeff Gossett pins the Jets inside their own 5, and they're quickly hit with a double whammy. Not only do they go 3 and out, but on a third down sack, Pat Ryan aggravates that pulled groin he suffered in warm-ups and is done for the rest of the day. The Browns take over at midfield where Kozar immediately hits Ozzie Newsome for a first down, then Kevin Mack steamrolls up the left sideline to get Cleveland inside the 15. A holding penalty pushes them back to the 20, and a pass to the end zone is broken up via excellent coverage from New York's Jerry Holmes. Mark Gastineau is one of several Jets who get to Kozar on second down, who's clearly still pushing through a lot of pain. On third down, Kozar can't connect with Clarence Weathers, and the Browns have to settle for a Mark Mosley field goal to give the Browns a 10-7 lead. With Ryan injured, Ken O'Brien, who had a diet 2019 Jameis season, comes in and quickly hits Al Toon for a first down. A few plays later, the Jets are faced with a 3rd and short.
24 to play in the first half. Another big play. Sam Clancy comes in on 3rd and short. Makes the knockdown of Freeman McNeil for a loss back at the 49-yard line.
The Browns defense holds the line and gets the ball back, where Kozar hits Webster slaughtered across the 30 as the half heads into the 2-minute warning. On the next play, Kozar takes another shot.
Going for it all. Incomplete at the 29-yard line.
Right through his hands. Are you smelling a theme here? Kozar takes another deep shot but puts too much juice on the ball to Webster Slaughter, and Mark Gastineau continues to play through some serious pain. Brian Brennan can't quite haul in this third down pass from Kozar, who took a hit that would get a defender tossed in solitary confinement in 2025, and the Browns have to punt. Ken O'Brien gets back on the field and works his way into field goal range, in partial thanks to his legs of all things, taking off for 9 yards on the first play of the drive, and on their last offensive play of the drive, he bolts again to get into field goal range. A clearly beaten up Pat Ryan comes back onto the field to hold for a game-tying field goal try.
But this is good. It'll tie the game. It's got the distance, and it's got the range.
10-10 at the half, and the story of this game so far is drops. Both teams have had chances to blow this game open, and the pigskin just went through their fingertips. Mark Gastineau and the Jets' defensive line is playing through a lot of pain, dealing with a pulled abdomen, but he is not done making an impact on this game, for better or worse. The Browns start the second half on offense and are hit with yet another dropped pass before Gastineau gets a third down sack. The Jets get to take over in Browns territory, and a strong run from Freeman McNeil puts them at the Cleveland 30. The ground game hasn't been very productive for either team, but the Jets feed McNeil another 3 straight carries to get in the red zone. But when a first down carry goes nowhere, O'Brien goes to the air on 2nd and 3rd down, but can't connect on either, and they settle for another Pat Lehigh field goal, which splits the uprights to give the Jets a 13-10 lead. The Browns, maybe realizing they should be passing the ball more against one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL, go back to the air where Kozar throws a perfect pass on the seam to his tight end Harry Holt to get to the Jet 30. Cleveland decides to go back to the ground, where running back Curtis Dickey coughs the ball up, but for some reason he's ruled down. I have no idea who recovered the ball, since the replay doesn't show the play either long enough or from a proper angle to know for sure, but regardless, the Browns quickly line up and run another play, officially marking that run in history as a 3-yard gain.
Once they get the snap of the ball off, and here comes Kosar looking deep. Lobbing it up. Fontenot loses the ball at the 10-yard line.
Okay, I know this ball was a little underthrown, but really, enough. A third down pass is tipped, which sends out Mark Mosley for a field goal try, which sails wide left. This gives the Jets an opportunity to extend their lead, and Ken O'Brien looks Al Toon's way on 2nd and long, but the pass is broken up via excellent coverage from Hanford Dixon. The Jets have to punt again, where Gerald McNeil gets another crack at a punt return. Remember the Jekyll and Hyde comment I made about him earlier? Well, I think he's picked a side.
Steps into the ball, hits a high punt. McNeil, living dangerously, runs it against coverage, and Gerald McNeil breaks it. One man with a play on him. The punter, Dave Jennings, slowed him up. And then there's a fumble when he went down, but they're going to rule the ball down. It's Cleveland's ball.
Or maybe not. I mean, his knee was down, but regardless, none of it matters because an illegal contact penalty on Felix Wright sends the Browns all the way back to their own 31. The Browns get a 1st and 5 due to a New York encroachment where a pass to Ozzie Newsome is incomplete and controversially not called for defensive pass interference, even though it looks a lot like Bob Crable was being a bit too handsy with Newsome. 2nd down is Cleveland's turn to remind us why fullbacks do in fact matter.
Make the reverse. Kosar looking to buy time. He dumps it off to Kevin Mack, who breaks one tackle and another. And finally, Kevin Mack fights his way ahead for a 1st down.
The day fullbacks become relevant again is the day this league will find true salvation. Too bad nothing else came of that drive after, you guessed it, a 3rd down drop. Back on offense, Ken O'Brien on a play action hits a wide open Al Toon for a 31-yard gain. 2 plays later, Al Toon burns the Cleveland defense for what should be an automatic touchdown, but O'Brien put too much juice on the ball. Any chance the Jets had of extending their lead was shut down by a Carl Hairston sack. The Browns' defense has done all it can to hold the line, but at some point, Kosar and the offense will have to get something going before the Jets pull away.
Roll late in the season. Last close game was at Buffalo in Week 14. Drop. And now another drop.
Kosar and the offense have to get something going.
Bernie Kosar on the run, and they sack him at the 22-yard line.
Kosar and the Browns have to get something going.
2:30 to play 3rd quarter. Brian Brennan, they finally go to him, and the sure-handed one comes down with the ball at the...
Thank you. Sheesh. Almost forgot Brian Brennan could do that. The Browns convert another 3rd down pass to Webster Slaughter, in which Kosar got drilled by a still ailing Gastineau, putting the Browns across midfield. The next 3 plays are a damning sign of where things are going from the perspective of the Browns. Throwaway on 1st down, throwaway on 2nd down, pass behind Herman Fontenot that falls incomplete. Punt. Kosar hasn't turned the ball over yet, but he's an unflattering 19 of 42, though the drops can't have helped. A short run from Freeman McNeil sends this game into the 4th quarter. Jets lead 13-10. 2 franchises that have put themselves through hell and back to get over the hump, and shortly one of them will leave Cleveland Stadium with yet another devastating loss on their resume. The Jets go nowhere on their next drive and have to punt it again, and once again, the Browns are graced with excellent field position. They keep trying to establish the run, but as we can see here, it's not going well. With that in mind, Kosar goes back to the skies.
In motion, he runs those over the middle patterns. Kosar takes a look, lost the ball. Newsome is open. The Wizard of Oz makes the catch, and he's down to the 19-yard line.
I know it's Ozzie Newsome, but given the trajectory of this game, I'm kind of surprised he didn't drop that. With the Browns starting to claim some momentum back, they decide to go for some more trickery.
Brennan, he can throw it indeed, but there's not much open. Now there is, as Webster Slaughter gets the ball and runs it down to the 13-yard line.
Okay, I don't know if that level of risk was worth 5 yards, but sure. A Kevin Mack run goes nowhere, and the Browns are faced with another 3rd down. The pass to Webster Slaughter is incomplete, but the officials get Russell Carter for hitting Slaughter before the ball gets to him. Bit of a questionable call, especially in a playoff game, but nonetheless, Cleveland's drive is given new life, and they work their way inside the 5. But fate has a weird way of evening things out.
In it. Looking for the timing throw. Intercepted by Russell Carter. The drive is stopped.
Kosar looks Slaughter's way again, and this time Russell Carter comes down with the interception. This is Carter's first interception since his rookie campaign in 1984, which would actually end up being the only regular season interceptions of his career. That, combined with Bernie Kosar's first turnover of the game, has taken the air out of Cleveland Stadium with under 9 minutes left. If the Jets can put together a long scoring drive and milk some clock, they're probably golden. After a 1st down run is unsuccessful, running back Tony Page gets the ball on 2 straight plays, the latter of which being a run up the gut that moves the chains. With under 5 minutes to go, Ken O'Brien is faced with a 3rd and 9, where his pass to Mickey Schuler is just a bit off the mark. The Browns will get another chance with 4.5 minutes left, and Kosar gets a chance to redeem himself.
The interception of Bernie Kosar by Russell Carter. No! Picked off by the Jets. Jerry Holmes has it. And they rule him down at the 20-yard line.
Or not. Textbook gaffe by Kosar here. Jerry Holmes is just sitting on the pass and he's fed like a dog. That's 2 horrific Kosar mistakes in a game where he had played relatively mistake-free despite all the drops. Time for the Jets to actually capitalize on it.
The Jets still without a turnover. Freeman McNeil breaks it, and he's going in. Freeman McNeil crosses the goal line, breaks the plane, and the Jets, the underdog, take a 19-10 lead.
The Jets have tried to get the ground game going all night, and it finally pays off. Heck of a run by Freeman McNeil, who seemed to complete that old stumbling QuickTime event in Madden that I know have sent a couple controllers into a wall. With that score, New York has built themselves a 2-score lead with 4 minutes and 14 seconds left. If you'd ask the average football fan, that means a victory is probably a safe bet. But depending on who you ask, it's a really, really safe bet. Real quick, let's head over to WABC Radio and hear from New York Jets radio play-by-play announcer Charlie Steiner.
McNeil still on his feet to the 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Freeman McNeil, 25 yards! The Jets are going to win this football game! The Jets are going to the AFC Championship!
Interesting. I mean, I get where he's coming from. The Browns have scored 10 points all game, and if they want to even tie this game, they'll need to match that total with just over 4 minutes left, and Kosar ended his last 2 possessions on back-breaking interceptions. As Kosar and the Browns offense trot back onto the field, they're staring down the barrel of yet another brutal playoff loss and subsequent off-season of question marks. They still have all 3 timeouts, however, and any points here get them back into the game. Things look bleak when a holding penalty wipes out a positive gain, and proceed to look even bleaker when Kosar trips up and falls for a sack. It looks even bleaker when the Browns commit an offensive face mask on the play after that, but thanks to a Jets holding penalty of their own, they offset. And after all of that, the Browns are faced with a 2nd and 24 on their own 18-yard line with only 3 minutes and 33 seconds to play, down by 10. At this point, the Browns have almost no hope of winning on their own accord. They need a gift. They need divine intervention. They need the Jets to make a mistake.
Kosar gets time, but it's slapped right back at him, and here's another penalty marker down. They might have Gastineau on a late hit.
Wasn't the only one either.
Roughing the quarterback, number 99, that's 15, that's a first down.
And there it is. Mark Gastineau, whose efforts should be commended today considering the injuries he's dealing with, just turned a 3rd and 24 into a new set of downs and new life for the Cleveland Browns. They convert a 3rd down by the slimmest of margins as the game enters the final 3 minutes. On the next play, there's Langhorne again. The Browns really don't want to burn any of those timeouts, so they have a chance at a defensive stop and another chance on offense without needing the onside kick. Kosar then dishes a perfect pass to Brian Brennan to get inside the 25. Still in the no-huddle offense, there's Brian Brennan again on another gorgeous pass from Kosar to get back on the doorstep. Another pass to the goal line sends this game into the 2-minute warning. One play later, the Browns finally cash in.
Slanting to the right side, the left side of the Jet defense. Kevin Mack is in, standing up.
Finally, the Browns break through on a drive that was given a second life thanks to Mark Gastineau's rather intense motor. 1 minute and 57 seconds left, and we have a ball game. The Browns still have 2 timeouts remaining. They don't have to try anything fancy. However, they try once again to catch the Jets off guard.
Fair catch it.
Downfield, but a sure-handed Jet takes the ball at the 45-yard line of Cleveland.
The Jets are going to get the ball back with excellent field position, but their end goal remains the same. Burn all that clock and don't give Cleveland the ball back. First down, a run to Freeman McNeil. Nothing. Second down, a run to Tony Page. Nothing. Just like that, you blink and the Jets are faced with a 3rd and 10, but the Browns have now exhausted their final 2 timeouts. The Jets have 2 choices. Option A, run the ball up the middle again, except that you're most likely not ending the game on this drive, burn 40 seconds off the clock, and punt it back and trust your defense to hold the line for just over a minute. Option B, take to the skies and try to end this game now. If you convert, the game is over. If the pass falls incomplete, you'll have to punt anyway and leave much more time on the clock. I can understand the argument for both sides, but it is worth noting that the Jets defense just got walked down the field against a no-huddle offense and are probably still tired. With both of those choices in mind, Joe Walton and the Jets elect for option C.
It's the last thing they want to do, though. Stop it. Quarterback draw, didn't get there.
Okay, that's stupid. Your mobile quarterback is on the bench. This could have worked with Pat Ryan, but not O'Brien. Literally in this video, Ken O'Brien scrambled a couple times, and I was like, wow, he can do that? So that decision made no sense. But here's the double whammy. The NFL used to have a rule that if a quarterback is sacked in the final 2 minutes of a half, the clock stops. Since Ken O'Brien couldn't get back to the line of scrimmage, the play was ruled a sack and stopped the clock. It at least keeps running when the ball is set, so it isn't the biggest backbreaker in the world, but damn it, in situations like these, those few seconds can make all the difference. It's gaps like that that make you feel a surefire win is slipping away. The Browns could have been buried only a couple minutes ago, and now the Jets have to punt it back on a drive that took less than a minute off the clock. At least the punt was spectacular and pinned the Browns inside the 10? Just kidding. Holding penalty. Do it again. Gerald McNeil fields the punt this time and crosses the 30. Kozar and the offense are given 53 seconds to get into field goal range and tie this game against a gassed Jets defense.
Kozar's been intercepted twice. The Jets have not turned over the ball in this game. Long ball, Brian Brennan. Tipped away, penalty marker at the 42-yard line. And the clock is stopped on the flag with 47 seconds to play.
To push, they get the entire yardage at the point where the flag is thrown. If he pulls him to the ground, it's a 10-yard penalty.
Okay, quick side tangent, but I hate it when receivers do this in the NFL. The whole stop on your route because the ball is underthrown and initiate contact to get a DPI bit is one of the most annoying practices in all of sports. Like, seriously, this is up there with the drop third strike in baseball and the initiating contact for fouls in basketball. It's just stupid. But anyways, Brian Brennan draws an imperative defensive pass interference to get into Jets territory on the first play of the drive, and once again, it stops the clock. The Browns just found themselves at the Jet 42-yard line, just one chunk play away from field goal range. Bernie Kozar wants more than that, though.
Right now, looking to get in field goal range, Kozar. Backpedaling, long ball, Webster Slaughter. He's got the ball. He's down to the 5-yard line. And the Browns have indeed a chance to win it.
Clock goes 35, 34. They got to get set up, throw the ball out of bounds, and stop the clock. Quit celebrating.
Hey guys, you didn't score. Cleveland is wasting ample time partying like they just won the game. I don't know if they thought Slaughter got into the end zone or if they're just being cocky, but nonetheless, the Browns are all set up to tie this game and send it to overtime.
Overtime, unless this goes in. Tipped away at the last moment.
Rough minute or so for Russell Carter, huh? First he gets beat by Slaughter on the go route, then he comes oh so close to hauling in the game-sealing pick. After seeing their lives flash before their eyes, the Browns will not dare to dance with the devil again. They send out Mosley to kick the field goal with enough time to take another shot.
Snap and set down, kick on the way.
Remarkable.
It's up and good. And the Browns with 7 seconds to play rally back and tie the game, and we're going to go to overtime.
10 points in the final 4:14, and we're heading to overtime. The Jets and Browns have been pushing for so long to get to this point, and how fitting is it that the two franchises that have been chasing that dragon the longest in this era without getting the opportunity to slay it will meet in the playoffs, and equally fitting that it would be a sloppy yet thrilling affair. The Jets won the overtime coin toss, and since it's not the 2010s yet, it's sudden death football. Next score wins. After a total meltdown on both sides of the ball, all the Jets need is one field goal drive to escape this nightmare with a win. Instead, their first 2 plays generate -4 yards, and O'Brien and friends are faced with a 3rd and 14.
For the tying field goal, and now 3rd down at 14.
McNeil.
Swing pass to McNeil. Puts a move on, but an open field stop is made at the 41-yard line.
An excellent tackle by Cleveland's Mark Harper denies Freeman McNeil any more yardage and any chance of ending this game on this possession. Now a deflated and exhausted Jets defense has to go back onto the field and get a stop, or their season is over. The punt pins the Browns at their own 26-yard line. The first play is a pass to Fontenot that gets 6 yards. Then Kevin Mack rumbles up the middle to generate a first down. 2 plays later, there's Fontenot again, across the 40. Back-to-back catches by Kevin Mack, inside the Jet 40, with New York's defense reeling and Kozar picking them apart slowly, piece by piece. He could very easily dink and dunk his way into Mosley's range and put this game away. Bernie Kozar, the consummate gambler, has no interest.
Kevin Mack, the lone setback. Jets come with a blitz. Browns pick it up nicely. Long ball, man is open. Fontenot, he's got the ball at the 5-yard line. That's Langhorne. Reggie Langhorne 35-yard gainer.
Okay, now the Browns can celebrate. That just about puts a bow on everything as Jerry Holmes gets absolutely fried by Reggie Langhorne, and if not for the ball being just a wee bit underthrown, the game would already be over. Technically speaking though, it's not over, as the Browns have no interest in going for the end zone, not to be haunted by Red Right 88. They trot out Mark Mosley immediately for a chip shot 23-yard field goal to put this game to bed.
No, it's no good. The Jets will get the ball back at their 20. Mosley missed a sure shot. Snap and hold were good, and the kick was just offline.
Or not. Well, it is Cleveland, so I guess expecting anything to come easy is on me. If there's any consolation for the Browns, New York's offense has been dead fish for the last several possessions, but some of that hope probably wanes when a catch by Al Toon has the Jets at their own 38-yard line.
First down for the Jets at their 38. Free ball, it's incomplete. Incomplete pass.
Well, we haven't seen a drop in a while, so I'm glad we could revisit that one more time. Anyways, Ken O'Brien gets sacked on the next play by Carl Hairston for the third time today, which pretty much kills any hope of scoring on this drive. They have to punt again, and this time the Browns get to start from their own 37. The New York Jets have been completely MIA since Freeman McNeil's touchdown run, which feels like an eternity ago. Even with the Browns leaving the door open just enough to keep the Jets in it, they just can't break through by traditional methods. Much like the Browns not too long ago, the Jets now need to pray for some sort of miracle to put them on the doorstep. They get one.
Has ever since he led Miami to that upset of Nebraska for a national championship in the '84 Orange Bowl. And up. Free ball! Browns seem to have it. Looked like the Browns got it back.
Mark Gastineau, whose high-octane motor is what put the Jets in this spiral to begin with, comes oh so close to getting them right out of it, but alas, Paul Farron is the first to the loose ball and the Browns keep possession. A third down run to Fontenot doesn't convert, and now the Jets offense will get another chance. And once again...
2 timeouts in overtime. O'Brien in trouble is swept under. Sam Clancy.
9 sacks for the Browns.
Nothing. They're not even close. Another punt takes a friendly bounce and sends Kozar and the Browns back out again at their own 31. Kevin Mack rumbles up the middle to convert a 3rd and 1. Then Bernie Kozar's 63rd pass attempt finds Slaughter to get right on the edge of midfield. Then Mack gets the rock again to move into Jet territory. And then, when it finally looks like all hope is lost, the Jets, who have butchered chance after chance after chance to put the Browns away, are granted one more miracle.
We're almost 15 minutes through overtime. Intercepted by the Jets. That's an interception, a free. Now they're ruling it an incomplete ball.
How poetic is it that New York's last gasp at stealing this game is wasted due to a drop? The next play is a Fontenot run that ends the first overtime. With that, this game becomes only the 3rd playoff game in NFL history to go to double overtime, and will be the last until January of 2004. When it's all said and done, the Marathon by the Lake will end up as the 3rd longest game in NFL history.
And then by a field goal by Mosley to tie the game with 7 seconds left. Kevin Mack breaks into open field. Turf is tight here. End up to Mack, right back to the same play. Mack the setback. Mack gets the ball. Again, he breaks the wave of tacklers. Good save for the pound.
Here he comes. Here he comes. Those uprights are 12 yards wide. They got it right now. Look like the distance between 2 fingers to Mark Mosley.
Snap and set down, and the game is history. Cleveland wins it.
It took them 3 overtime possessions, a missed field goal, and a second overtime period, but the Cleveland Browns finally cracked the code to win their first playoff game in 17 years. The Jets left the game battered, exhausted, and most importantly, as losers. They had the game won with under 4 minutes left. All they had to do was not do something stupid, and when they did, the team went into a total free fall that they never got out of. In overtime, those roles were reversed, and the Jets were granted not 1, not 2, but 3 mulligans in the sudden death frame, and they just couldn't capitalize. A brutal conclusion to the last gasp of this iteration of Jets football. While their NFC AFC counterparts in the Giants would go on to win the Super Bowl, the Jets wouldn't win another playoff game for 12 years. For many of the '86 Jets, this would be their last playoff game they would ever play in green. One of them was Mark Gastineau, the scapegoat for pretty much everything that went wrong during those final few minutes of regulation, despite his incredible efforts throughout the game, despite doing so under serious pain, and despite making the play that could have flipped the result in overtime. It's not fair to pin the loss on the shoulders of Gastineau, but given his attitude and his antics that we'll call unprofessional, it was. The Browns, following their greatest win in the Super Bowl era, marched on to the AFC Championship where they met John Elway's Denver Broncos in Cleveland Stadium. It was another bumpy ride, but after Kosar hit Brian Brennan for a touchdown to give the Browns a 20-13 lead, and after Denver butchered the ensuing kickoff to pin them at their own 2-yard line, the Cleveland Browns allowed themselves to truly believe for just a few moments that they were going to the Super Bowl. Instead, it was John Elway who would etch his name in NFL history with The Drive, one of many gut-curdling moments in Cleveland sports history marked with the 2-word phrase, a game that would also end in an overtime field goal. These Browns weren't done pushing for championships, making the playoffs every year for the rest of the '80s, but each time they would get to the doorstep, the Broncos were waiting to send them tumbling back down with varying degrees of pain. Ever since then, things have only gotten worse, even up to today, where they've managed to somehow sink into darker depths than ever before. But even though the Cleveland Browns have yet to even reach a Super Bowl, even they, once in a blue moon, are granted an incredible moment of joy.